Today's cocktail is the Purple Haze Martini. This is a recipe I found on the internet, and I will say that there will probably be some controversy to this because I found 6 or 7 different variations of something called Purple Haze. I'm going with the recipe that I like best, which is as follows: 1 1/2 ounces of vodka, 1 ounce blue curacao, 1/2 ounce of grenadine, shaken in a cocktail shaker with ice, and strained into a chilled cocktail glass, garnished with a lime twist. Now, why do I prefer this version? Because to me, the orange of the blue curacao and the pomegranate of the grenadine combine nicely for a sweet tropical feel with just that little bit of citrusy kick. And of course, I love vodka. And if you really want to start fooling around with it, you can use a flavored vodka variation, which will give you a slightly different twist on it. I also like the martini version because it's fairly strong as mixed drinks go. And I like a nice colored, sweet martini with a strong kick to it. So that's the Purple Haze Martini. I hope you enjoy it, and for this one I will post the recipe because it's sort of a not common recipe. But I hope you enjoy, and as always, if you're of age and you have the opportunity, you should try the Purple Haze Martini. Thanks.
So, remember I was living in the Midwest, and in the summer of, oh Jesus, was it the summer of 2006? We're going to say it was the summer of 2006. Maybe it was 2007. I don't remember.
Who's counting?
Yeah, I'll fix it on the video later. So, summer 2006, remember I had a buddy that was living in Chi-Town at the time, my old college roommate, short guy.
Yep.
So I call him and I say, hey man, I got to come into the city. I'm going to a car show. You want to roll? And he's like, yeah, the wife's out of town. Yeah, let's do this. So we go to this thing at McCormick Place. And I don't know if you've ever been to McCormick Place in Chicago.
No, I haven't.
It is the mother of all convention centers. It's like, I mean, I've never been to the Cobo Hall in Detroit, but I imagine they're like, they got to be on the same level. This place is monstrous. It is enormous. And Hot Import Nights, if I can describe it to you, it's part car show, part rave. And since I was old enough to drink, it was basically a drunken stroll through a bunch of show cars and half-naked young ladies.
And you can't have cars without half-naked young ladies.
Well, I mean, this was the height of the import scene, import lifestyle era.
This is pre-Fast and the Furious movie.
No. This is
or this is when they started. There's
after,
so many now. I can't.
This is when Fast and Furious was still really about cars. This was maybe a couple of years after Tokyo Drift, or maybe the year after year or two after Tokyo Drift. So I was literally in between drag racing and drift events. And this was on the schedule, so I went to Chicago and did the Hot Import Nights thing because I was collecting pictures for my new website and video to put on YouTube. Funny how that works. And there were a lot of, and you know, the funny thing is, you know, obviously you have the professional import models, which are the little Asian ladies with the bolt-on boobs.
Yeah.
But then at any given city, you're going to have local models who are repping some of the local car clubs or local vendors that have vendor space in the show. So they're going to get these, you know, what do you call them? Not appearance model, you know, spokesmodels type.
Yeah.
Booth babes, we used to call them. So they're going to get these local girls to work their booth or whatever and wear their little logo t-shirt. See, that was the thing about me having the logo t-shirts. And those ladies are of varying levels of professionalism. We'll just leave it at that.
Let's not discuss that here. That's
But
off
you
the
know, you go in
podcast.
there, it's dark, the music's thumping, and pss, 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 you know, that kind of stuff. And there's strobe lights flashing and cars blinking, and you know, Jeeps with Lamborghini doors and Nissans with 17 wings on the back, and Honda Accords with the hood that folds on sideways, and Honda Civics with clear plexiglass hoods, and 17-inch rims, and lowered so hard it scrapes the floor, and hydraulic, just everything. It was so ridiculous. It was like, I can't even really describe it. But what me and Dude did was walk around, and I had the still camera and he had the video camera, and we just wandered around shooting random video and pictures of stuff and things and go-go dancers, and just, it was, even though I was firmly in adulthood at this point in my life, I was like 32 years old, and it was still amazing to me to see this. Is like, because there were dudes, little, what I call kids, young people running around like they were in a Fast and Furious movie.
Right.
And I'm like, I was just amazed by that, because when I look at show cars, all I see is money and labor.
Right.
Like, I look at any show car and I see parts and labor and paint, because I'm cheap and I do 90% of my work myself. I install my own engines, I install my own clutches, suspension, brakes. Hell, I painted 2 cars myself, which I do not recommend, by the way. But,
Yeah, I'm good on that. I don't think I'll be trying that. Not in my future.
As I mentioned, painting the buzzer was basically an 18-month odyssey in pain and paint fumes. About the only good thing was the paint was cheap, and the compressor that I ate up was pretty cheap as well. But to go to these car shows, and especially hot import nights, because they're inside a convention center, so they've got concessions. I can buy drink, because I was old enough. I had an over 21 wristband, so I could go to the bar and buy a drink if I wanted. I can hang out in the lounge. I could pay money to get signed autographs from models who are not actually that famous, but because they're in a booth and they got a calendar. I learned that trick around 2004. I was like, I am not paying you for a photograph. You're out your mind.
I feel like that just became a new life goal for me. I need to
those
go to a car show and get a calendar.
Those women were not famous. Those are like, Instagram has replaced those girls.
Yes, that's true.
That was before That was before social media was huge. I mean, I had a Yahoo group back then, but in 2006 we weren't even on Facebook yet. Were we in MySpace?
That might have been MySpace time.
We might have just been breaking into MySpace, really. So, the Instagram model didn't exist, but these ladies were basically the equivalent of what is today the Instagram girl says,
model.
I'm famous. I got 40,000 followers on Instagram. I'm like, baby, if I can't see you on TV, you are not famous.
That's how I feel.
I guess it's not the truth. I'm just old. I'm a boomer. Okay, boomer, which is funny. Clearly, I'm not a boomer, but millennials don't know that, or post-millennials don't know that.
They don't know that.
They don't know that hell, my parents are barely boomers. But it was just a headache-inducing, I can't believe what we're seeing level of, I won't call it debauchery, because it was very PG-13.
Right.
And that's what was funny to me, because as an adult who had been, at that point, I was deep in the strip club life. So as a grown person who was used to going clubs and seeing naked women, to go into this very PG-13, sort of quasi dance party / car show and see these kids freaking out, like, I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, these people have all their clothes on. There's not even any nudity in here.
Right. Like you said, it's the most PG-13 version of, like...
Right. It was literally like scenes out of a Fast and Furious movie, just moved indoors into the dark.
Right.
Which reminds me, we'll do the whole... I got lots of Nopi stories, which is a whole nother thing, because Hot Import Nights was sort of like, um, so you had Hot Import Nights, you had Battle of the Imports, and you had Nopi, which were all three run by different companies, but were all basically doing the same type of thing, which was trying to corner the import lifestyle segment that used to be a thing only in California, and they brought it all the way across the rest of the country, in part thanks to the popularity of the Fast and Furious movies. But all of a sudden, every kid wanted to be a drifter, you know, wanted to be an import drag racer, and Honda Civics and Nissan 240SXs couldn't go for sale on Craigslist before they were getting snapped up, and dudes dumping their entire I work at Wendy's paychecks into these cars to buy a fart cam muffler and some quote unquote racing seats.
Gee whiz.
Whereas a person like myself, who was a legitimate, you know, trying to be an actual racer and didn't want to put anything on my car that didn't make it faster, that was a very, you know, it's fun to look at a car that's got neon underneath it, but it's like, yeah, neon don't make you fast, or, you know, kids.
But it makes you fly.
So I'll tell a Fast and Furious story. When I saw the second, maybe it was Tokyo Drift, it was Too Fast, Too Furious. One of them, I went to the theater that night in my 240SX, and that was when I still had the first one. So it was still the nice pearl white color. I don't even think I bothered putting the 17-inch rims. I think I might have had the stock tires on it still that night. Even though I had the 17-inch rims, but those were my autocross wheels. Those were my driving around town wheels. And I went to the movie, and there were all manners of kids in that parking lot revving their engines and this, that, and the other, and the glow and the neon and the speakers and the boom, 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 boom. Because that was the first thing I let go when I got to 240. Is bass tubes went away when I got to 240, because I want this car to be on a racetrack. I can't have all that damn stereo equipment in the back. I was on my way home, and at that point I was living. That's when I had the apartment. And I went down. What's the main strip in High Point? Is it Eastchester, right there before it gets to way up there by Cookout? I don't know if you know that part of High Point.
No, I don't know High Point at all. Really.
So up the extreme northwest part of High Point, like if you were going to get on 33 and go to Winston-Salem, that's where kids used to run the strip up there, because there was a putt-putt, there was a Cookout, and something else. So they would just like run the loop up there. That's the part of town they cruised in. And I'm sitting at the light, and some dude starts revving his engine at me at the light, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to wipe this kid out and risk getting a ticket. Because I couldn't let him get away with that, right?
No, of course not. I mean,
I was like,
no.
Dude, I know the 240 ain't the fastest car on the street, but this is a real car. This isn't, you know, a B16 with a fart cam muffler. That's a Honda engine. Sorry. Don't get me started. That's a whole nother thing.
It's a whole different thing.
But anyway, dude started revving his engine at me, and I let him have it. And it was like, you don't understand. It's a 240 got nothing else. It's got torque. In the first couple hundred feet, I'm going to run away from you. Honda's got the VTEC, and once they get on the cam, they can chase me down from behind, which is what always happened at the drag strip. But, you know, the street is not a drag strip. All I got to do is anticipate the light and launch the clutch real good, and I'll straight walk away from him for at least the first couple hundred feet. And like, so that's what I would do with kids. I wouldn't even try to drag race them like long distances. I would just like jump them, get a good lead on them, and then back off the gas just to let them know I could. which is cheating, because, you know, had I stayed in it, they would have eventually caught up with me. Or the other thing is, kids that think they want to go fast, and then when real speed comes up, then they ain't got no nerve.
Right.
You know, not that I spent a lot of time running up and down the road at triple digits, but there was a time in my life where I lived in a city where there was a 3-mile stretch of highway with no exits and no turns. There was nothing but swamp and trees. And you could get out there early in the morning on the way to work. Me and another guy that I worked with who had a supercharged Volkswagen Corrado, me and him would get out there, and we would run our cars up to the damn speed limiter in a straight line know, in a swamp in rural North Carolina. We'll just leave it at that.
Wait, that's it.
Yeah, nobody can mess with us but the motorcycles. And one morning there was a lady we worked with. Lady, she was well, no, let me phrase that differently. She was a genetic female. We'll call it like that.
Wow.
I don't want to speak to her sexuality, but let's just say that she wasn't the type to wear skirts and flower patterns. But
I mean, some of us aren't into skirts and flower patterns.
I get that, but you're not into a death motorcycle either. She got on that motorcycle
I like life.
And she came by both of us at like 120 miles an hour. And when we got to the parking lot and work, and I saw her pull off the helmet, I was like, "Oh crap, what's her?" Because I didn't know she rode bikes. I knew she lifted weights. I didn't know she rode bikes. But that was. I might as well just hit.
No, we need to stay employed.
I might as well just hit the stop button now.
Thank you for watching Cocktails and Crankshafts. If you enjoy my content, please like, share, and subscribe. Be sure to hit the bell icon, and we'll see you soon with new content.